it in a better way.
Was a breakthrough win for Turner. The race began in front of a crowd estimated at 70,000 with Buck Baker on the pole.
Best probably natural racing talent that we've ever had in NASCAR. He had a seat. He certainly won his share.
He would rent a motel, an entire motel, and have a party. And he'd have his own doctors and nurses there to take care of the ones that had a kind of a weak heart or whatever. And then flying his airplane. He was a crazy man on the airplane. I remember Tim Flock and me went to Chicago with him once, and we run right in the middle of a thunderstorm. And we had a fifth of whiskey in the back of the car, and I was kind of looking forward to getting a drink after we got to Chicago, because we ran in that thunderstorm and the airplane was climbing 2,000 feet a minute backwards. You know, rivets popping out of the wings and everything. And when we finally landed in Chicago, I told Tim, I said, hand me that bottle up here, I'm gonna have me a drink. He said, what drink? I said, hell, I already drank that back there. And you crazy people flying this airplane.
Turner drove a Ford to Victory Circle in '56 and would be part of its factory team in 1957. The manufacturers were into Grand National racing in a big way as the new season began. Selling performance and horsepower, the car companies eagerly used their racing teams to market their autos. The Detroit hype machine soon came under fire, though. The Automobile Manufacturers Association was concerned the rise in horsepower had led to an increasing number of fatalities on the nation's highways. Fearing political
Speed. And Monday morning after one of the cars won a race, how fast he ran and all this kind of stuff. And I think like I say, American Automobile Association and some of these other bodies started to hollering about speed, and using it as a tool for people to go and kill themselves. And but even after the factories got out of it, supposedly, they say they got out of it. I've always had my doubts whether they did or didn't, but everybody survived.
The bottom line of the decision meant that the factory drivers were now team owners. Bill France stepped in immediately to help the teams compensate for the loss of factory money. Increased appearance money and larger purses cut into NASCAR's profits, but kept the tracks and teams in business. Meanwhile, on the track in 1957, Buck Baker won his second consecutive Grand National points title in his own Chevrolet. Baker had a very consistent year, finishing in the top 10 38 out of 40 races to go along with his 10 victories. Baker was a mainstay in the early days and now established as one of his generation's greatest drivers.
Buck was a fantastic race car driver. And he was one of the guys that ran dirt and could run asphalt also.
He was had a little Earnhardt in him. He was not a big man, but he was an intimidating guy. You didn't want him on his back bumper because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Speedy Thompson, Buck Baker's teammate the year before, won the 8th Southern 500 at Darlington. Thompson started 7th and took the lead for the first time on lap 110 until Curtis Turner took the point. Thompson grabbed the lead back 45 laps later and never gave it up.
Moving down the backstretch for the last time, his average speed now 100 miles an hour for 500 miles. The checkered flag. Speedy Thompson in number 46 Chevrolet sets a new record in winning the Southern 500.
1957 also saw one of NASCAR's greatest drivers call it quits. Still recovering from injuries suffered in a crash a year earlier, Herb Thomas decided to retire. Thomas had won 48 Grand National races, 3 Southern 500s, and was the series national champion twice. Many still consider Thomas the best driver of his era.
Thomas was a good driver, maybe the best at that particular time, and won a lot of races. Won a championship or 2.
Thomas's retirement was a signal that NASCAR was entering a transition year in 1958. The factory pullout the season before had been tough enough, but now NASCAR faced a new dilemma. Many of the established stars were aging and not as competitive as they used to be. NASCAR was gaining national popularity and needed a new star to hang its hopes on. Enter Glenn Fireball Roberts.
In the center of the first row, Fireball Roberts, number 22. Fastest qualifier of the entire field. Outside front row.
The Daytona native was a good athlete and earned his nickname not from racing, but from baseball. Roberts was not new to the Grand National circuit. He had come in a close second to Bill Rexford in the 1950 Grand National points battle, but then decided to return to the modified ranks after that season. In 1958, Roberts was back in the Grand National division, running a limited slate of races, and was very impressive. In 10 starts, Fireball won 6 races, including a dominating performance at the Southern 500, where he won by 5 laps.
Fireball Roberts in a Chevrolet wins the Southern 500.
At that time, he was probably the best driver after Herb wore himself out. And Fireball operated probably a lot like the drivers do today. He was a pretty smart person. He had probably a higher IQ than most race drivers. But he like Chief Gifford changed the way things go. Fireball changed the way you pick drivers.
He was a good race driver. He ran better on asphalt than he did dirt. And he had an affinity for the super speedways because he reached his peak at the start of the super speedway era in NASCAR.
For the year, Fireball finished 11th in the Grand National point standings. Not impressive until you consider he missed 41 races that year. Of the races he ran in, Roberts led 46% of the laps. Lee Petty won his second Grand National title in 1958 by winning 7 races and finishing in the top 10 44 times.